My name is Robert Keller. I'm 83 years old. There's a box in my garage. It's been there for 37 years. I packed it in 1988, sealed it with duct tape, wrote his name on the side in permanent marker, and I never sent it. I tell myself I kept it because I wasn't ready. That's what I've told myself for decades, but that's not true. I was never going to be ready. I'm recording this because I don't think I have much time left to pretend I don't know why I kept it, and because yesterday my son asked me if I was proud of the life I'd built. I lied to him, too. I grew up in a house where men didn't cry. We worked, we provided, we shook hands and patted shoulders, and that was how we said we cared. My father worked at the plant for 40 years. He came home tired every night. He sat in his chair. He didn't complain, and I thought that was strength. When I became a father myself, I did the same thing. I worked long hours. I made sure my son, David, had everything he needed: a roof over his head, food on the table, a father who showed up. But I don't think I ever told him I loved him. Not in words, not in a way that would have let him believe it. David had a best friend in high school. His name was Michael. They were inseparable. They'd spend hours in the basement listening to records, talking about bands I'd never heard of. I'd hear them laughing through the floor while I watched television upstairs. Michael came from a military family. His father was strict, harsh. Michael was at our house more than his own. I didn't mind. He was respectful, quiet. He helped David with the yard work without being asked. But I never really talked to him. I saw him as David's friend, a kid, someone who'd eventually move on. The summer before David left for college, something changed. David stopped bringing Michael around as much. When they were together, there was tension. They'd sit in the basement in silence, or I'd hear one of them leave abruptly. One night, I found David sitting on the back porch in the dark. I stepped outside. I asked if everything was all right. He looked up at me. His face was unreadable. And then he said, "Yeah, Dad, everything's fine." I believed him, because it was easier. David left for college in August. Michael stayed behind. He'd enlisted in the Marines and was waiting for basic training. I saw him once after David left. He came by the house to return a jacket David had left at his place. He stood on the driveway. He wouldn't come inside. He handed me the jacket. He said, "Tell David good luck." I said I would. He got in his car and drove away. I never saw him again. 3 months later, David called me from school. It was late. His voice sounded empty. He said, "Dad, Michael's dead." I didn't understand at first. I thought there'd been an accident. But David said it again, quieter this time. He killed himself before he shipped out. I don't remember what I said. I think I asked if David was okay. I think I said something about what a shame it was, how sorry I was. David didn't say anything for a long time. Then he said, "I should have told you," and he hung up. I didn't know what he meant. I thought about calling him back, but I didn't. I thought he needed time. I thought grief was something men handled alone. That's what I told myself. But the truth is, I was afraid of what he might tell me. David came home for Christmas that year. He was different, withdrawn. He moved through the house like he was somewhere else. I tried to talk to him. I asked about his classes. I asked if he was staying out of trouble. I asked all the wrong questions. One evening, he was sitting in the garage, staring at nothing.
I walked in. I leaned against the workbench. I said, "I know you're hurtin'. I know you miss Michael." He looked at me. His jaw was tight. He said, "You don't know a damn thing." I didn't say anything. I just stood there, waiting for him to explain. He didn't. He got up and walked back into the house. After he went back to school, I started going through his room. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I'd find something that would help me understand. I found letters, a stack of them, all from Michael. They were hidden in the back of David's desk drawer. Some were on lined paper, some were on torn notebook pages, some were just scraps with a few lines. I read every one. They were love letters. I sat at David's desk with those letters in my hands, and I felt something I couldn't name. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disgust. It was fear. All those hours in the basement, all those quiet looks, all those tensions I didn't understand. David had been in love with Michael, and Michael had loved him back. And I had been in the same house, watching television, mowing the lawn, reading the paper. I had been right there, and I hadn't seen it. I wanted to call David. I wanted to tell him something. I didn't know what, but I didn't know how to start that conversation. I didn't know how to admit what I was feeling. So I did what I always did. I stayed silent. I packed the letters back into the drawer. Then I found a box and put them inside, along with a few photos I'd found of David and Michael together, photos I'd taken myself without understanding what I was looking at. I taped the box shut. I wrote David's school address on the side. I thought I'd send it to him. Maybe he'd want them. Maybe they'd help him grieve. But I never took it to the post office. I told myself I'd do it tomorrow, then next week, then later. Years passed. The box stayed in my garage. David graduated. He got a job in California. He visited once or twice a year, but the visits were short, surface level. We talked about work, sports, the weather. He never mentioned Michael again.
David got married when he was 34. A nice woman, a teacher. They had a quiet wedding. I was there, smiling in photos, pretending I didn't notice how forced his smile was. They divorced 7 years later. David called to tell me. He sounded exhausted. He said, "It just didn't work out, Dad." I said, "Sorry to hear that, son." He said, "Don't be. It wasn't fair to her." There was a long pause. Then he said, "I think I married her because I thought that's what I was supposed to do." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. I'm 83 now. David is 52. He lives across the country. He visits every few months. We have dinner. We talk about his work, my health, politics we don't agree on. We are civil. We are distant. We do not talk about the things that matter. Yesterday, he asked me if I was proud of the life I'd built. We were sitting in my living room. He was drinking a beer. I was pretending to watch the news. He said it carefully, like he was testing something. "Dad, are you proud of how things turned out? Your life, I mean." I looked at him. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the label on his bottle. I thought about the box in my garage. I thought about all the things I never said. I said, "Yeah, son, I did all right." He nodded. He didn't seem surprised. He finished his beer and left an hour later. After he was gone, I went to the garage. I pulled the box down from the shelf. It's dusty. The tape is yellowed. I sat on my workbench and looked at it. His name is still there in my handwriting, faded but still readable. I thought about opening it, but I didn't. I thought about finally sending it, but I won't.
Because it's not about the box anymore. It's about the fact that I waited. It's about the fact that I saw my son hurting and I didn't ask why. It's about the fact that I loved him the only way I knew how, and it wasn't enough. I don't think David hates me. I think he's made peace with who I am. But peace isn't the same as closeness. And I think that's what I regret most. Not the box, not the letters, but the years I spent loving him from a distance, thinking that providing was the same as connecting, thinking that silence was the same as strength. I'm recording this because I don't want to keep pretending. I'm 83 years old. I don't have much time left, and I want to say out loud that I was wrong. I was wrong to stay silent when David needed me to listen. I was wrong to think that being a man meant keeping everything inside. I was wrong to believe that some things were better left unsaid. I don't know if David will ever hear this. I don't know if it would change anything if he did. But I know that I waited too long to say what mattered, and I know that I can't wait anymore. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about someone you need to reach out to, someone you've kept at arm's length because you didn't know what to say or because it felt safer, maybe don't wait as long as I did. Maybe just don't wait. Thank you for listening. I needed to say this, even if it's just into the silence.